Welcome back to day 14 of the Men's 2020 Australian Open. What a final that was. To finish off an incredible 2 weeks of tennis in Melbourne in that way was fully deserving. It was such a brilliant final, 4 hour thriller. It could have went either way. There was switches in momentum, brilliant shots, brilliant rallies, and just two players that went toe to toe and fought for their life for a title that obviously means so much to both players. To show the level of respect after the match as well, just shows you how good these two players are on and off the court. And I hope Team does win a Grand Slam. I have always liked him as a player, but I've got so much respect for him after these couple of weeks, beating Rafa and pushing Djokovic, who has dominated this tournament over the years all the way. He could have won this, definitely, Team on another night. When he went 2-1 up in this match, he looked like he was going to run away with it, but Djokovic done what Djokovic does and fought back and produced his best tennis in the final two sets that is difficult for anybody to stick with. First off, just looking at Dominic Thiem and the tournament he's had, really. Obviously, we know from he's always had a good record against the big three. He's beat the big three a number of times throughout his career, Federer, Djokovic and Nadal. He's struggled in Grand Slams away from the French Open. He's never reached a semi-final or a final at these sort of events, but he's really developed his game on hard courts, especially over the past 12 months, and that reflected in his performances last year. He came to this Australian Open. I think a lot of people expected Thiem to be, better than he has been over the past few years, but to reach the final and beat Nadal, I'm not so sure we expected that much of him. He certainly exceeded expectations. He's given us some fantastic battles and matches, and I think that performance against Rafa is probably one of the best performances you'll ever see in a slam. We know how good Rafa is and how good Rafa performed on that day. He was looking to back up his US Open win that he got end of 2019, and the way Thiem just that relentless hitting was just a joy to watch. Backhand and forehand, his serve, everything about him. He was just hitting winner after winner against one of the best defensive and one of the best fighters we've ever seen in the sport. And it really was just an incredible performance from Dominic Thiem. And if that doesn't tell you that he's ready to win Grand Slams, he's good enough, he has got the mentality, and he's capable of beating anybody on his day, which he proved today. He could have won that match. He was when he played his best tennis, Thiem, then even Djokovic struggled to control him in that second and third set. And luckily for him, Djokovic did fight back and use that championship winning mentality and experience to get over the line. But Thiem can come out of this match with so much pride and move on and have a fantastic 2020. Moving on to Novak Djokovic, what can you say, really? He was unbeaten at the ATP Cup. He's unbeaten, obviously, at the Australian Open. Just what a tournament, what a player, what a champion. Back to world number one on Monday, thoroughly deserved, the best player in the world for me. And he just continues to do it time and time again. He never makes things easy. As a supporter of his, it was some very tough moments this morning watching him. At times, he did look like to be running out of steam, and you did wonder whether he could fight back, but he played some exceptional tennis in the final two sets and produced the Djokovic that we all know is there, and the Djokovic that nobody can beat if he reaches the levels that he did reach. Unluckily for Thiem, he's run into two of the most dominant players on their surfaces over the past couple of years. Obviously, Thiem reached the French Open final and ran into Rafael Nadal twice, and now he's met Novak Djokovic in Melbourne. So hopefully Thiem gets an easier chance one day to win a slam in the final. But yeah, Djokovic, these 2 weeks, people question whether he was going to be fatigued after the ATP Cup exploits. He played a lot of matches there, singles and doubles. But as I said in my preview, I think that's made him sharper, if anything. I think it's made him want them more, to prove of people wrong almost that, although he is getting older, he's still at the very top of his game. He's feeling confident in his game that he can, dominate in Australia, which he's shown over these past month since the start of January. And that he is still one of the fittest guys on tour. He can still go in 5 sets and fight against the best players in the world, which he's shown this morning. To come back from 2-1 down against Thiem playing the way he was just an incredible feat, and arguably one of Djokovic's best Grand Slam wins in the end. Just quite an incredible match, really. But looking at the match, Set one, I mean, Djokovic came out like an absolute train. He was relentless from ball one, returning incredible, serving brilliantly as he has done all tournament, first and second serve, hitting clean winners and really attacking team. I said in my preview that I think Djokovic has been a little bit passive, a little bit too defensive, allowed team a little bit too much time in his previous defeats on clay, and I think he had to go out there and really boss the court. He's won this title 7 times. Go out there, show him why you're champion, show him why you're dominating Melbourne, and attack team. Don't let him play his game. If Djokovic can play his own game in conditions that suit and use that experience, start fast, and I did always fancy him to win this one, and that's exactly what he done. He raced into a big lead. I think it was a 3-0 lead in the first 10-11 minutes, and that set was almost done. I mean, team did fight back and gain a break back, but it was always an uphill task, I felt. Djokovic got a vital break at 4-4, and then served it out to win 6-4. And from that point on, you thought, if Djokovic continues this level, then even team that been playing the way he has, he's not going to get into this match. We know how good Djokovic is in finals now, mentally and physically. He always produces his best at the business end of tournaments. It looked like Djokovic is going to have one of them days where he's just, incredible from ball one to the final ball. That didn't prove to be the case. All credit to the team. He came out fighting. He really did. He came out and really attacked Djokovic in the second and third sets. Djokovic didn't quite play his best, looked quite lethargic at times. His footwork wasn't so good, but I just think team was almost playing the match for his life. He started to connect with the ball and time the ball and find the winners as he did against Rafa. And I think team's a real confidence player. When he has a couple of games and rails off a few quick winners, he really started to believe in himself, and even Djokovic's defence couldn't cope with the aggression and attack of that team brought to the court, and he was relentless. Team, really attacking the net. He was defending incredible, forcing Djokovic into errors. And we know Djokovic isn't always the best mentally when he starts to lose sets. It was the second set went toe to toe, and it was at 4-4. Djokovic recovered the break at that point. And then there's a huge call, I think it was 15-30 at the time, on Djokovic's serve, and the umpire gave him a time violation, rightly so in my opinion. He had got a warning, and then he lost his first serve to a second time. Team actually won the point and broke Djokovic in the right and looked in the wall from there. Djokovic got very aggravated. He started looking at his box, he was complaining to the umpire, and his mind just seemed to completely waver off the match, which team took full advantage of, in fairness to him. Team sensed that Djokovic wasn't quite fully focused on the match. He wasn't in that robot mode, which he often is at the back end of sets, and team served it out brilliantly. He took that second set, which I think he thoroughly deserved. The way he was hitting, he definitely deserved to level it up at one apiece, which he done. And in that third set, team was ripping the ball from all angles. He was in that form that he was in against Rafa and in against Zverev at times. He just goes through spells, team, where you think, how's this guy not won Grand Slams before? Hits the ball so hard, so clean on both wings. He's just got an all-round incredible game. He's so fit, he's so quick, so efficient. Brings loads of energy. He's got massive support. He thrives off the crowd. He involves the crowd. He's emotional. He's just a great character to watch, and just quite an incredible and entertaining tennis player, really, that he's deserving to be in these finals. He deserves to win Grand Slams, which I'm sure he will do later down the line, because he's far too good not to. But in that third set, he dominated Djokovic. He ran away with that third set. He was, he gained a double break on Djokovic, and even Djokovic on serve. Team was returning it, and then just it's really attacking it, really, stepping into the court and taking the ball on early, not allowing Djokovic to get into rallies and, force him into errors, and teams couldn't miss. And at that point you do think, is this team's day? Obviously Sophia Kenin upset the apple cart yesterday, becoming a first time Grand Slam champion. Is it one of them tournaments where we get a tournament of upsets? And team was, it was important that Djokovic stopped the rot very early in that fourth set. He gained a big early break. I think that was important, because if team had got that early break, it would have been, a case of when and not if. He won that final. If he could have gained that early break himself team, and he might have run away with that first set, that fourth set, and being in all honesty. But it was Djokovic who gained the initiative in that fourth set, and the momentum did start to swing. He's got a massive experience behind him. He's won this Grand Slam 7 times. It's almost a Novak Djokovic arena now. I'm sure he'll get a court named after him soon. He's the most successful player to ever play in Australia. But the momentum did start to shift. Djokovic found his form again. He looked like he got a second wind. He started to force Thiem into a few errors, push him back, move him around the court, but also bring that aggressive style that I said he had to bring. He was serving well again. He was hitting forehands into the each side of the court. His double-handed backhand was very solid. He was solid on rallies. Team started to get a little bit tight, I feel. I'm not sure being in the lead really helped him. But Djokovic levelled it up. He served it out well to force a fifth set decider, and that was always going to be in Djokovic's favour. After coming from 2-1 down, I think he did have the momentum, and he gained a huge early break. Team didn't play a good game at all at 1-1. I think he served a double fault. It was very unlike Team. He made a couple of errors, and I do want to say one thing tactically. I mean, there's not a lot I can say tactically really. They just both played outstanding tennis. But one thing Djokovic did do, I thought was very smart, was to really target that Team forehand from the back end of the fourth set onwards. Team's forehand went AWOL. He hit the net. He was missing it by a long way. And that's what he done against Rafael Nadal. If you remember back in that when he was serving for the match, I think it was Team, he missed a few forehands and it started to get really tight. He did find it again, luckily for him, right at the end of the match, but for a large part of that the later ends of the Nadal match, his forehand did start to waver and get a little bit tight, and Djokovic targeted that. He was constantly putting the ball in his forehand, and Team was looking for winners, but he was just overhitting it. He was trying to red line his forehand and missing by some way and gifting Djokovic points, and he targeted that forehand early in the fifth set as well, which actually got him the break. I think he made a couple of unforced errors at deuce to give Djokovic that set, to give the Djokovic that game, and he took full advantage. I expected Djokovic to serve it out from then on, and he looked like he was holding serve easily. He had a couple of points to break Team and really put him out of his put it out of sight. He could have, I think it was 5-2, he could have been at one point, and Team got a massive hold, and he thought, could that swing the match? And I think Team eventually did get into one of the Djokovic service games at 15-30. But there was a point, it was the game before Djokovic served it out on serve, and it was 30-all, and Djokovic missed his first serve, and you think, right, is this Team's chance? Second serve, 30-all, can he craft a break point and start, turn the match again, switch momentum? And Djokovic produced, the best second serve you'd probably see all tournament, and that's why he's won 17 Grand Slams. He's just a clutch player. He just produces his best tennis on the biggest stage in the biggest times, and that's why he wins Grand Slams. He's just quite an incredible sportsman, to produce time and time again in the biggest moments and close out matches like he does. He's just a true champion of the sport. That's why I go down as one of the greatest players that we've ever seen. And then the time come at 5-4, Djokovic serve, and I think Team played an incredible backhand winner. First shot of the first point to get love 15, and again you think, is this, it's not over yet. Can Team, rattle off 4 winners because he's more than capable. But Djokovic just stone cold, brilliant serving, and he did eventually serve it out. I think he won the game to 15 in the end on his first match point to get over the line and record his 8th Grand Slam, 8th Melbourne Open title in Melbourne, 8th Australian Open title, I meant to say, and 17th Grand Slam title. Obviously becomes a new world number 1 on Monday. I just want to quickly say as well, I thought the 2 speeches were probably the best I've ever heard from Grand Slams. Dominic Thiem, obviously massively respectful of Djokovic and his team, and talked about that tennis isn't the most important thing in our lives. You've obviously got the Australian bushfires and how much effect it's had on the whole of Australia. Obviously beautiful country, lots of wildlife, animals and homes and people have lost so much in these 2 weeks, and I think it's important to take a step back. And as the team said, the tennis acted a distraction, but people's lives and homes and animals are being lost, which is easy to forget when you're watching tennis. But I think they raised over £6 million during this tournament, which is just shows how powerful sport can be and how powerful these sports stars can be in raising money for such important reliefs in these sort of times that unfortunately come about. And as for Djokovic, he paid a good tribute to Kobe Bryant, obviously very close, a mentor to Djokovic, helped him a lot throughout his career when he was struggling with that elbow injury. And he also talked about the bushfires and keeping people that mean the most during life together, and just coming together as human beings, really, because there's plenty of conflicts that go on in the world, and obviously these bushfire disasters. It's important to take life for what it is, live every day as it comes, and just try to be as happy and positive as you can every day. But I'm going a bit deep now, continuing I was talking about the tennis, but yeah, I just thought them two speeches were not really focused on the tennis, but more about life, and it's important on the biggest stage. I think these sports stars recognise that and send positive messages, which I felt they've both done. But quickly to wrap it up, what an incredible final. 4 hours of thrilling tennis that lived up to the expectations. Djokovic played his best in spells, which Team couldn't live with, and then Djokovic dropped off and Team upped his game to points where Djokovic couldn't live with, and it was just so many switches of momentum. I think the experience of winning Grand Slams and being the King of Australia, and that extra incentive of being number one did tip it in Djokovic's favour. I think in that fifth set he served better than Team. He didn't take as many risks as Team. I think Team tried to look for winners too early, be a little bit more conservative, see what Djokovic has got left in the tank, which he didn't really do. Djokovic didn't have to work too hard to win that fifth set. He closed it out quite comfortably in the end, but what an incredible tournament. I've had a fantastic 2 weeks doing YouTube as well. It's obviously the first tournament I've done. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing it, analysing the players more, previewing and reviewing all the matches. I've had a lot of fun. I've lost a lot of sleep because it's watching in the UK, it's often during the night, but it's all been worth it. So yeah, Djokovic is champion again. We move on to the French Open next, where he'll look to win his 18th. Obviously Rafa will be looking to win his 20th French Open, 20th Grand Slam, his 12th French Open, which will put him level with Roger Federer. But that's it for now. Hopefully Dominic Thiem does win a Grand Slam, because he's a brilliant advocate for our sport on and off the court. I do hope he wins a Grand Slam, as long as he's not playing Djokovic in the final. But yeah, just thanks a lot to anyone who's watched the video over these past couple of weeks. I will have a couple of more coming out with like an awards type video, but obviously that's it for the matches. So thanks a lot for any views and likes and subscribes that I've had this week. I do appreciate it, and that's not it for this yet. I will be previewing and reviewing lots more tournaments in the future, not just Grand Slams, also ATP and WTA tournaments, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to definitely keep it up, and I'm also going to be bringing out different videos, just talking about maybe the Grand Slam title race and things on and off the court, looking at different players' games and maybe players who can come through in the future. So I will be bringing out more videos with that soon. So thanks again, for anyone who's tuned in these past couple of weeks, and I will see you tomorrow probably with an awards type video. Thanks again.